Good morning, gentlemen. Wonderful weather, as you can see. It's getting cooler and cooler here in the UAE, one of the most beautiful places to spend your time here. Well, gentlemen, today I'm going to talk to you on a very different topic. I'm going to talk to you about politics and war, which of course is my focus. I'm going to talk to you something strange, something which may interest a lot of people. I'm going to talk to you to a relationship between the Parsis of India, rather a Parsi girl and a non-Parsi boy. Now, these relations are very common in India at the moment, and I can say with some certainty that I'm talking on personal experience also. Now, first of all, we must understand that the Parsis came to India at a time when there was persecution in Iran, and they follow what is known as the Zoroaster religion, Zoarasterism. And the man who founded it was Zoroaster, that's about 3,500 years back. It's a very ancient religion, and it got some very ancient beliefs, something which a man who wishes to have friendship with a Parsi girl must know. Because that's the first thing you must know about the Parsis, or the people who follow Zoroaster. Zoroaster was a prophet, as I told you. He lived about 3,500 years back. That's a long time back. And at that time, he had founded a religion which was supposed to be modern. But by our standards, some of the beliefs do look weird. Weird in the sense, particularly, the beliefs after death and how to treat with a person who is dead. And secondly, they basically worship fire. Now that's pretty okay, but it's important to know these points and what happens in their life. As you know, the Zoroastrians or the Parsis, as they're called, were originally from Iran. And there was a time when they were in power in Central Asia, and they had some of the great kings and emperors like Darius and Xerxes who ruled the world as known at that time. But everything collapsed with the advent of Islam, and these gentlemen all fled the country who didn't want to convert to Islam. And they found refuge in India and the state of Gujarat. Now, there are not very many Parsis left, that's the thing, because somebody made a joke once that a time may come when the only Parsis you will see will be in the zoo. Well, it's not that bad actually. Bombay at the moment is the home of the Parsis, and I will tell one thing more, that the Parsis who came from Iran have a distinct race. They're extremely fair and their women are extremely beautiful. You know, fairness remains a criteria of beauty, and the Parsi girls are amongst the most beautiful in the world. And they are all highly educated. That's another aspect. And they are the ones who benefit the most once the British came to India. They imbibed the culture of the British, that is the European culture, and most of the time they follow that. And they have, of course, overlying principles of their own religion. And one of these is that in case a Parsi girl marries outside her community, she doesn't get anything. She's excommunicated. And if there's any property, anything, she doesn't inherit it. Now, this is a law which one may not agree, but it is there. And they have a authority called the Parsi Panchayat, which oversees everything. Along with this now, another aspect which I have noticed is, with the girls taking such high education and going up, comparatively the Parsi men have been left behind. I don't know why. Maybe because they're not really worried, because they're going to inherit a lot of property and a lot of cash, etc. And so they probably take it easy. And now these Parsi boys would like to marry girls outside the Parsi community. I don't know, that is there. A lot of Parsis are marrying outside the community because A boy, if he marries outside the community, is not excommunicated. He continues to remain a Parsi and inherits all the property and everything. And his offspring are considered as part of the Parsi family. But not the case of a girl. As I've told you, if the girl marries outside, she's nowhere, she's left out. But despite it, because of the lack of cohesion, I don't know what could be the reason, there has got to be some research. A lot many Parsi girls would like to marry non Parsis. And in case you fancy a Parsi girl, you would like to know her better and maybe take her as a wife. And I can tell you it'll be a very, very elevating experience because you'll be marrying a girl which in Indian terminology can be termed, or the world terminology can be termed as very beautiful. They are beautiful. They are all, most of them slim, though of course with age they do put on a lot of flesh. That happens to everybody. But when they are young and they remain so, they are very beautiful. Slim, fair, aquiline European features, and they dress up like Europeans also. A lot of them wear skirts and dresses uh, which are European. I've yet to see any sari being worn by a Parsi girl. They hardly wear the sari or even the salwar kameez. So most of the dresses are foreign, trousers, skirts, shorts, and they live like foreigners. That is, the European invaders who came to India, the British. Another distinct thing about the Parsis is that they're very industrious and hardworking. In fact, some of the biggest industries in India, starting with Godrej, Bartley Boy, and of course the famous Tatas and the Vadias, they're all Parsis. And a lot of their children have married non Parsis. One aspect of the Parsi thing is the woman remaining spinster for long periods. They don't marry at all. Now, this I told you is another reason for the Parsi population declining. And as on date, I think the figures we have now is there's only about 60,000 Parsis left in Bombay, or maybe 100,000 in India. And one stage, at the turn of the last century, there were over 10 lakhs of them, almost a million, but they've been going down and down and down. There are Parsi communities spread in Hyderabad, there's in Ahmedabad in Gujarat, and small Parsis are there in England and the United States, but it's about all. The concentration of Parsis remains in Maharashtra, Bombay, Pune, in that complex. And the fact remains that despite the men owning big industries and things like that, they are not marrying Parsis. I mean, I don't know what's the reason, frankly. I'm not going to discuss the reason here. I'm just going to tell you how the Parsi girls live and what happens. Most of them are spinsters looking for good matches. And as I told you, if you do fancy a Parsi girl, please don't hesitate to approach her because she's a very modern woman. But be very clear that they do not like uncouth persons. Being sophisticated themselves, you must be sophisticated enough to approach a Parsi girl and then introduce yourself to her. Maybe if you are an officer of the armed forces like I am, or maybe owning a top executive job or something like that, or a scientist, well, I think he would consider it. So the first thing you must do is to be posh, have etiquette, have good manners, and have a knowledge of the Parsi religion that I've already explained a bit to you, and then go ahead and make your first pass at her. And if you are slick and suave, well dressed, you must not be dressed like a hippie or something like that. There's a good chance that you could take her out for a date. And maybe during the first date, please be very, very correct, follow the rules of behavior, and don't think that just because she's wearing a short skirt or something, is their easy game or something like that. That's the worst thing could do to damage your chances. So if you play the game well the first time, and maybe after 2 or 3 times, the girl will expect you to kiss her. Now that's something that the Indians don't do. I mean, most of the people in the world, and it's the Europeans who have really exemplified the kiss as a token of love. At that time, you should not hesitate, and if required, you could kiss the girl. That should be the beginning of a relationship, which is something very satisfying, I can tell you that. Because Parsi girls are very educated, I told you, they have a lot of etiquette, they're very beautiful, very fair, and you'll be in a position to have a relationship with a woman which could be classified in India as at the upper crust of Indian society. Because the Parsis by and large are not poor. That's one thing we must bear. All Parsis are generally well off, and if there's a Parsi who's poor, maybe that is one or two out of 100. That's bad luck. Otherwise, the Parsi Panchayat looks after the Parsis who are poor. And the girls, as told, they remain spinster for a long time. They keep a relationship all right, because if they marry, then they lose all their rights, including the houses which they've got in places like Kolaba and Dadar, which are given ex gratis free by the Parsi Panchayat to them. But love has no barriers, and if you're lucky and you play the game properly, you could very well have a wonderful Parsi wife. You could, after a couple of meetings, it's not going to be easy, but if you can convince her to leave her life as a spinster and come and join you, I think she would gladly do. I've known a lot of successful Parsi marriages. Two of my colleagues, they married Parsi girls and they're very happy. One of my course mates, I think I can name him here, but Jagdeep Jagat, he left service pretty early, married a Parsi girl, and so many others. I mean, you can't name everybody here, at least from the armed forces and even from the civilians. And most of the Parsi girls do feel that spending life as a spinster, not really worth it if you can get a good man, a man with a position in society. And that is where I think the men from the armed forces really score, because we are built up with a system of ingrained into us of etiquette, culture, and being a gentleman. So the first thing, as I told you, is be a gentleman with a Parsi girl. Parsis concentrate all over India, of course, spread all over India, but they are concentrated in Bombay. So that's part of the ethos. Bombay is the home of the Parsis, and getting it easy. I know a friend of mine who'd missed the bus himself. He was about 40 and was thinking, what the hell am I going to do? He didn't want to marry the Indian girls, arranged marriages to met the various sites and all that. Until he came across a Parsi girl who had been a spinster. She was about 35, and he hit along so well with her and to be married. It's a close friend of mine. So, gentlemen, this happens, and this is just a brief introduction to you all. I think I'd give you a different facet of life, and many Parsi girls, they remain spinsters. So, you can have a try, and I can tell you, it's been the relationship with a Parsi woman or a Parsi girl. I think is something which is out of this world. It's out of this world. The Parsis are now, of course, realizing that they're becoming extinct. There are some reformists who would like that the Parsi girls who marry outside the community are brought back into the fold, but I don't think that will happen. The hardliners, as in every community, are there. They're holding the roots. They keep their ammunition firing and guns firing, and so that's part of the game. Well, gentlemen, I think I will close now. I just want to talk on this small aspect of a thing, how to go about with a Parsi girl, and be posh, have the etiquette, think like a European. That's another thing. And of course, don't be rigid about your religious beliefs. Learn the religious beliefs of the Parsi community. Many of them do feel that their beliefs are anachronistic. They're not in terms with the time, with the modern times. And many of them opt to be buried than to be left in the Tower of Silence in Bombay to be eaten by crows and cows and things like that, and eagles and buzzards. That's part of the game. It's not something that you should reflect on much. In the meanwhile, in case you fancy a Parsi girl, I will say, enjoy yourself, have a good time in life, and that's what really life is all about. I close now. I hope, gentlemen, you like this video. Please share it with your friends and do comment. And I look forward to more interaction with you all. Goodbye, God bless, and Jai Hind.